For the past few weeks, we've explored the three major origin theories about the identity of the Antichrist: Jewish origin, a Muslim origin, and a Gentile origin. So the question is, which of these theories carries the most weight? And if you haven't watched parts 1 through 3, I recommend checking them out first and seeing what conclusions you draw. With that said, let's review each theory and evaluate where they stand. The short version of this view is simple. The Antichrist is said to come from the tribe of Dan. The Jewish origins theory is rhetorically strong and symbolically rich, Dan being called a serpent in Genesis 49, the Antichrist rejecting the God of his fathers in Daniel 11, depending on how you define Elohim, and the strange omission of Dan from the tribal list in Revelation 7. And then there's this chilling passage from Jeremiah. We look for peace, but no good came, for a time of healing, but behold, terror. The snorting of their horses is heard from Dan. At the sound of the neighing of their stallions, the whole land quakes. They come and devour the land and all that fills it, the city and those who dwell in it. For behold, I am sending among you serpents, adders that cannot be charmed, and they shall bite you, declares the Lord. That's genuinely spooky, but even with all that, I'm still not convinced this theory holds up. The biggest issue is the imagery in Revelation 13 and 17. Revelation 13 shows the beast, the Antichrist, rising out of the sea. Then Revelation 17, verse 15, explains the symbolism. The waters are peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages. In other words, the sea represents the world, everyone except Israel. So symbolically, you can't have a Jewish figure emerging from Gentile waters. It just doesn't fit the imagery, and for me, that pretty much ends the Jewish origins theory. I don't think anyone questions how eerily similar the Islamic concept of the Mahdi is to the Antichrist. You've got the Middle Eastern focus of biblical prophecy, which naturally overlaps with the regions surrounding Israel, the denial of Christ's divinity, death, and resurrection, and the historical tendency within certain Islamic contexts to behead enemies, exactly what we see depicted in Revelation 20, verse 4. There's also the idea of a 7-year rule and global domination, where the Mahdi conquers and destroys anyone who isn't Muslim. And if we use the symbolic meaning of the sea, peoples, multitudes, nations, and languages, then Muslims, or originally Arabs, would fit that category. Put all those parallels together, and it seems like a fairly compelling case for a Muslim Antichrist. But again, this theory just doesn't convince me. First, the strength of the argument depends entirely on treating the Quran and Islamic tradition as authoritative in some meaningful way. And while I fully believe that all truth is God's truth, giving that kind of weight to texts that openly contradict Scripture feels unwise at best. Some will still insist the similarities are too strong to ignore. They'll argue that these inverse parallels must mean something. Otherwise, why do Islam's teachings look like distorted reflections of biblical themes? The answer is actually pretty straightforward. Look at Surah 9, verse 61. And among them are those who abuse the prophet and say, he is an ear. For anyone unfamiliar with the term, calling someone an ear in Muhammad's day meant that they were gullible, someone who swallowed anything they heard without discernment. So why does Muslim doctrine resemble what we find in parts of the Bible? Because Muhammad likely heard the commentaries of Jews and Christians, never bothered to ask what the context was, thought it sounded cool, and ran with it. And with that, this theory, like the Jewish origins theory, gets tossed out. Unless you've been in a coma, you've probably already guessed that I lean toward the Gentile origin theory over the previous two. And whether someone agrees with it or not, the Gentile, or Roman symbolism in Scripture is strong, and frankly, impossible to reconcile with either the Jewish or Muslim views. For starters, Daniel 7 shows the rise of the Antichrist emerging out of a sequence of Gentile kingdoms. Then there's the prophecy about a coming ruler connected to the people who destroy the city and the sanctuary, which historically is the Romans. You can say the Roman soldiers were Syrians and Arabs trying to make a connection to the Muslim theory, and that may be true, but that seems more like splitting hairs rather than acknowledging the simple fact that it was Roman soldiers that destroyed the temple. And of course, as we've already mentioned, Revelation uses similar imagery to Daniel, the beast coming from the rest of the nations, the Gentile world. All of that together makes the Gentile theory far more consistent with the symbolic patterns Scripture gives us. While I do hold to the Gentile or Roman origin theory, I do think the other two do have a place within Christian eschatology. First of all, where the Antichrist is described as coming out of the sea, the false prophet is described as coming from the land in Revelation 13. Why is this important? Israel is consistently associated with the land throughout the Old Testament, and historically, as far as I know, they weren't a seafaring people, at least not in any major way. Besides all that, if the sea is symbolically for the Gentiles, then it stands to reason that the land is for Israel. So I would say the false prophet may very well come from the Jewish nation, specifically the tribe of Dan, hence its exclusion from the list we find in Revelation 7. Secondly, there's a great army talked about coming down to attack the Jewish people in Ezekiel 38:6, Ezekiel 38:15, Ezekiel 39:2, Daniel 11:40, Jeremiah 1:14, Jeremiah 4:6, Jeremiah 6:1, and Joel 2:20. Although there isn't complete unanimity as to the identity of this horde, there are some who suggest that this great northern army, specifically the one talked about in Ezekiel 38 through 39 and Joel 2, could be a Muslim coalition. Taking all of this together, I don't necessarily think there isn't something to these other origin theories. I just think the sites are lined up on the wrong targets. Ultimately, I think the Gentile view has the strongest argument. The Jewish view, though very compelling in its imagery, is geared more towards a supporting role of the Antichrist rather than the Antichrist himself. And while the Muslim view may sound insanely close to Bible prophecy, that's probably because Muhammad mashed together a bunch of Jewish and Christian tradition into a single mold without understanding what any of it means. But I really want to know what you guys think. Which of these views grips you the most? And if you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you haven't seen the previous episodes of this series, go to the channel and check them out. And if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and share it with anyone with eyeballs and/or ears. God bless you guys, and be excellent to each other.